Well, thanks for coming in, Alex. I know I was a little bit cryptic in my mail to you the other day, but we're glad you could come in. We've got some pretty exciting stuff to show you. It's coming up before the end of the year.
Sure, looking forward to it.
Bit of an Australian first, at least we think it's an Australian first.
Yeah,
Maybe you can help us validate that.
Sure, sure.
And it's really takes into account a lot of the feedback that we've had from customers. But Ben's probably the best guy to kind of get you going on
Excellent.
that.
Hi, Ben.
How's it going? So,
Good. And so just quickly, what's your position again?
So I look after all of our channel partnerships and content partnerships, and specifically kids here at Foxtel.
Yeah, excellent.
So,
isn't everyone a big kid here at Foxtel? All having a lot of fun.
Much, actually, yeah. Or has kids of their own, generally speaking.
Yeah.
So, do you have any kids?
No.
No kids,
Not yet.
No kids to speak of. So I think David's got 2, Richard's got 2, and I've got a 5-month-old. So
Okay. I thought you were going to say you had 5 kids. Wow, you've been busy.
I'm very young for a man with 5 kids, if that's the case. Not necessarily. Yeah. So, hey, look, just by way of background. So we've had Foxtel Go out in the market since about now 2012. Richard, correct me if I'm wrong.
Is that with the Foxtel Play or Go?
Foxtel Go, so
yeah.
the mobile and tablet app.
Yeah.
And so, it's been incredibly popular in that time. We've done various iterations, which you would have seen over the years.
I mean, I remember Foxtel, mobile Foxtel, which was Telstra's app
service.
on Nokia N95s.
Exactly.
And I remember one time having the audio of Sky News as I was driving between Sydney and Canberra.
Yeah.
Sydney and Melbourne, actually. And,
Yep.
I didn't have the video because you turned it around, but you could hear the audio and it worked.
Yeah.
It's incredible. And that was way back when. But here we are now.
Here we are now.
Apps and all the rest.
4 years later for Foxtel Go. So what's interesting in that time, in that 4 years, is when we speak to parents and families in particular about Foxtel Go and how they use it with their kids. We got quite a lot of feedback about Foxtel Go and about how they didn't necessarily use it as much as they would have hoped with their kids, and it kind of comes down to a couple of issues. And one of those is that on Foxtel Go, the kids' content's 2 clicks away from The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
And that there's an essential safety and control message there.
I mean, that might be how parents feel after a day with the kids, but that's not what the kids should be watching, right?
Exactly right. Yeah. And parents, not every parent has endless amounts of hours to control everything their kids are watching, but they sort of want to know that they're in an environment which is safe, a safe space. Yeah. And so they articulated kind of 3 problems to us, basically, that they wanted help addressing. So we went out to a lot of our subscribers and spoke to families, spoke to kids as well, and said, what's important to you? And the 3 issues that kept coming back were, firstly, managing screen time. There's a lot in the media about that at the moment, particularly amongst if you sort of look at the parent blogs and whatnot, it's all about managing screen time.
Yeah, absolutely.
The second one was just helping manage what they watch. So inevitably, parents said the kids are actually faster at picking up technology in them, and it's hard for the parents to keep ahead of them in terms of net nannies and making sure what they're watching is appropriate and all of that sort of stuff. So
I don't know. I'm imagining kids trying to figure out what the password is.
the
looking
pin,
at the parents.
exactly.
The
Yeah,
pin.
that's right. Maybe a thumbprint will finally help that.
Well, that's right. Yeah. Except I heard about the kid who took his phone to his dad whilst he was sleeping and jammed the phone gently against his thumb. We need a pin and a thumbprint. We need the 2.
You probably need it all. You're right. And the third issue. Kids, yeah.
Too smart.
Yeah, well, and that maybe
which is
kid,
good.
Maybe it's okay for that kid, but and the third part was data.
Yeah,
there's a lot of talk about data usage, in particular mobile usage.
Just quickly, I wish that I could specify on Foxtel that I just want audio only. I've said this before to David, audio only, because I'm driving or something, and I want to listen to Sky News or whatever it might be. And I'm not seeing it, but I'm only being charged for the audio. There's another app that I watch in the US, and I can, normally when you're watching a video and you turn the phone off, that's it, video stop. Audio stop, video stops.
Yeah.
This one, audio keeps going. Now, I don't know whether they're still sending video to my phone or just sending an audio profile, but God, that's handy. And maybe I'm the only one who wants to use it, but hey, switch it on. It's not rocket science. I don't know how you do it, but I can imagine it's a few clicks and that's it.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? And I suppose
Sky News. People listen to news in the car. Why should I listen to the radio? I listen to AM on stations like 2GB on my phone, because when I'm going through the city or anywhere else, I don't get I don't get that thing being cut out.
I'm surprised Sky News done off a podcast, actually, audio podcast.
Yeah, but I want it live. I mean, if I'm watching it, I want it live. If I'm driving somewhere and it's 7 o'clock, I want to at least be listening to Andrew Bolt.
Yeah, okay.
Then I can listen to him on 2GB at 8. I mean, despite Andrew's very heartfelt appeals to watch David Spears or whoever it was that might be, which plenty of people obviously do.
Okay, good suggestion. I think it's probably, if you look at kids, a particularly big issue, because there's people out.
Well, they want the video, because the parents want the kids to be
Well, they do.
engaged.
So I was sitting in a restaurant the other night, there were 7 kids at the table, every one of them had their own iPad or iPhone, they were all watching video.
And there was peace, right?
There was peace,
Quiet.
yeah. So, but that's consuming data ultimately,
Yeah,
which is costing parents and families, and sometimes they're not realising how much data they're consuming.
So are you going to announce an offline mode where I can save?
Precisely. So that's
okay.
one of many features we'll talk about. So that kind of those insights led us to say, well, look, Foxtel Go is not quite working exactly how we want it to. We could do something within Foxtel Go, but you still got the complications about having it being an adult-focused interface, it being blended with other content. So we decided to launch a kids-only app off the back of that. And so
Foxtel Kids?
Foxtel Kids, exactly. So it's a mobile and tablet app, Android and Apple.
iOS, yeah.
iOS, yep, exactly. And if you think about it, it's designed for kids. So it's bigger buttons, very little text, character-led, very simple to navigate. Should be easy to navigate for a very small child right through to a 12-year-old.
Sure.
So the concept is that all of our kids content sits in there, and we've actually boosted the amount of kids content. It's all video on demand, so there's no linear, and I think that's the other trend we're seeing. You know, kids just sort of want to go in and view the things that they want to see.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's all video on demand. There's no advertising in the app. Again, just getting around that message of safety, which is pretty critical. And probably the big features, which again Richard can talk you through, are the features that help parents give a bit of control.
Yeah.
So when you set up the app, you'll be prompted to say, look, is your child a younger child or an older child? And it'll automatically, when you first launch the app, cater the content for the age appropriate for the child.
Yeah.
You can then go in and block by classification, which is pretty standard. You can also block by channel. If there's particular channels that you don't want, you can go and set that age limit up again. You can switch on or off download, which we'll talk about. So probably the biggest feature as part of this is with the inclusion of offline viewing, temporary download.
Yeah.
So content will be available for a period of 31 days once you've downloaded it, and you can watch it as many times as you want during that 31 days. And then just other things in terms of managing screen time. So we've implemented, and there are apps in the market that do this, a timer, so that if you only want your kid watching for, say, 30 minutes and then it stops, it'll stop after that time. It does allow a bit of a grace period in case the
near the end of an episode or something.
Hasn't ended, just so there's no tears before bedtime, basically.
Sure.
And little things like parents again said to us, you know, particularly with younger kids, that I've got a 3-year-old and I've teed up a show. Their shows are typically only about 7 minutes long, and if they're looking for half an hour perhaps to go make a cup of tea, shower,
join 3 shows together or something.
Well, and that's the
like
problem.
A playlist or something.
So once the 7-minute show's ended, then the parent has to come back and intervene to queue up the next show. So it's actually got autoplay, so it'll autoplay for the period of the timeout.
Like your own mini linear channel, just for you.
It creates a little mini channel, and it does recommendations for the child as well once they get going. So
linear on demand channel.
It's your own little video on demand channel. Yeah, exactly. So that's sort of the essence of it. The idea is we're going to aim to put it out middle of December, so preschool holidays, and it'll be available to anyone with the kids pack. That's what kids channels are, and it's included for subscribers, so it's sort of a value add for subscribers.
One of the things I always wanted to do in the age before apps was to, when I eventually have kids and find a good woman to have them with, is to teach kids languages, you know, and the number of languages. There was this famous YouTube video only from the past, few weeks about this little girl, 4 years old, in Russia's version of, Russia's Got Talent, and she can speak 7 languages: Arabic and French and Russian and English, and just effortless, And so I know you would have Nickelodeons and I don't know, Ben 10s, whatever. You'd have all these cartoons and things. But is there like an educational kids channel where I can select from, because you've paid for the rights to display this, just programs that are going to teach languages, or that are just purely educational, as opposed, even if they're done in cartoon format, as opposed to yet another Voltron or yet another, explosions, or killing people, or yet another take on. I saw this on this plane. I saw this yet another take on Superman, and it's like, if I had kids, do I really want them to watch this? Not really. I mean,
there is a mix.
I want them to have entertainment, but is there an educational channel?
It's the balance, So we'll be including. There's a couple aspects there. Discovery Kids is our educational channel in that way. So it's a mix of animation and live action, but it is very much focused around the curriculum and science and technology. So it's got that.
That's great.
That'll be
like Wild Kratts on Discovery.
Yeah, Wild Kratts and those.
My daughter watches Wild Kratts, and she's quoting to me ad nauseum all these.
Head Rush is sort of the junior version of MythBusters.
Okay,
excellent. Science.
That's great to see, because
And in January we'll launch a little bit more content to the app, things like Leapfrog and which is very specifically around child development, younger child development. So it is a balance. It's there for parents to be able to choose what their kids help control what their kids watch.
Yeah, and they're going to want to watch kids are going to want to watch cartoons, and I guess you'd use that as part of a reward or whatever.
I think you'd be surprised. I mean, there's a product called Common Sense Media, or a company called Common Sense Media.
Hi, Ben.
Who do a...
Actually,
Richard. It's fine.
Sorry.
There's a company called Common Sense Media in Australia who do an amazing job of reviewing the content that's available in market. And, you know, Foxtel has the most recognisable channel brands on the planet, and they invest heavily in making educational content, but packaging it up in entertainment. So, an example I can give you that my son's current favourite, he's a 5-year-old, is Blaze and the Monster Machines. To all intents and purposes, that does not sound like anything particularly educational, and I am amazed with the amount of STEM-based education he's getting from that. We had an in-depth discussion on maths while he's in the bath. It was not the conversation I was prepared for. You know, like dealing with angles and you know, there's a whole suite of content across the Foxtel platform that, you know, to Ben's point, I don't think we've done particularly a good job of highlighting that to our customers through the existing Foxtel Go product. That's been ultimately what both the channel brands themselves and our own customers are telling us, that when they find the content, they're amazed by it, but they need assistance in helping to find that content.
Sure.
And again, assistance in selecting it. And I think, you know, the sort of the IPTV universe, which is visually rich, that drives users to content through imagery, is actually a very, very good way of communicating that.
It's a content,
you know, the standard
platform.
Absolutely, the standard discovery of a linear TV grid can be quite hard to identify the content that they should or you would like them to be watching.
Right. Well, there's only no pictures either, as you say.
Without research, and to be honest, you know, in an age of 2 working parents, who has the time like to be investigating those? You know, which exact TV show their kids should be watching. It's a lot of effort, I can assure you, as someone who does that. Yeah. So look, this is, you know, an application that's entirely designed to resolve that problem. Straight into the demo?
Yep, straight
so,
into the demo.
Sure. Okay. Well, let me just move this a little bit because I've got a bit of... and the only other thing that crossed my mind, again, we live in a multicultural society, and, you know, a lot of this content presumably you're buying from overseas. Is it possible to have this content in a different language track?
It is possible.
Let me click the button so I hear it in French.
It is possible, and it's something we're actually more actively looking at, because increasingly that's the demographic of Australia.
Sure,
we are
sure. I mean, when I was a kid, my father bought me these Russian comic books in Russian, in French, and in English. And unfortunately, I spent too much time on my computer. I mean, I speak Russian, but not fluently. You know, not like I should. And had I had this sort of content, would have been fantastic. I guess you can do it with other SVOD services, but you've got to flick to different countries. It'd just be nice if I was in Foxtel Kids that I could say I want it in Spanish or Russian or French, and, you know, even if you had to pay money to local translators to put the subtitles or something, that'd be something that I don't think anybody else is doing. And you know, it's going to be something that keeps me glued to the service if I had kids.
I mean, from a Foxtel perspective, we continue to evolve our product set based on our customer requirements. When there's customer requirements, we absolutely assess whether or not it's right for us to be in that space, and I think it's no different in relation to the multiple language.
Sure. It just popped into my mind.
No, absolutely.
Because we can do it these days.
Let me just start by loading the application. Yep. So
I'm just zoomed right in.
And that gets my kid cracking up every single time.
Look,
the first thing you're going to see is actually not going to be the normal scenario.
Sure.
This, prior to the interview start, I set up the timer.
Yep.
Obviously, I wanted to show you the animation that indicates that the time has ended.
That's it, yeah.
Due to extensive user research in my own household, this is excellently used for managing bedtime.
Yep.
There is no argument with Dinah, the monster. When it's bedtime, it's bedtime.
Yep, right.
And there is no way around this. So this kind of gives the indication, you know, from a parent's perspective, you set the timer. This is what comes in 10 minutes plus 3.
When I was growing up in Canberra, we had Kenny Koala at 7:30 p.m. telling us to go to bed, but then the TV kept playing.
Yep.
You know, so at least you know it stops. You know?
This is.
You can continue.
Well, if you put in the code, of course,
Yeah, clearly user has to enter parental pin to.
But for younger kids, they won't. They won't know about that. Well, I
Exactly.
suppose
Correct.
the older ones, they get...
And you know, in a household where you hide that parental pin, that's probably a good idea. Look, ignore the beta sign at the top. We are still testing this application, so the perils of demonstrations. Let's have our fingers crossed.
The demo gods.
The demo bugs. So look, to give you an example, this is a straight up homepage that kind of lends itself. There's a lot of common feature sets from our existing Foxtel Go product.
Yeah.
Continue watching, which is where you see these play icons. Continue watching. Sort of as a business, we want to make sure that our customers actually don't interact with our product all that much. That sounds strange. Really what we want you to do is actually start watching the content. You really want the content, and we want to make it as easy as possible for you to find that content and to play it straight away. It's not a giant leap to understand that from a children's point of view or a child's point of view. You probably want to watch the same episode, or at least the same episode in the same series, or a new episode in the same series, as your number one point of call. I can assure you.
I mean, kids love to watch the same things over.
Oh, I can assure you that every one of these play buttons that you see on here has been used extensively, and generally on rotation, with very little difference in between.
Sure.
So we know that we want to make sure that the user can actually find the content they look. We actually have a progress bar, although you can see Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles not really been watched all that much, but we have a progress bar to help the user understand where they are in the content. And then, literally, a wealth of content. Now, this content is driven through a number of different sources. One of those sources is our personalized recommendation engine. So we're tying it to the content that you're watching on the platform, across the platform, what you watch, what you search for, what you're interested in, to make sure that this is the right content to you. Clearly, it's only targeted at kids' content. So it has to come from some of our fabulous kids branded channels.
Yeah. I mean, but by the same token, to me, it looks like I'm seeing a version of Foxtel Go that will be for adults, based on some sort of similar-ish, but probably slightly more complicated.
Sure, an adult-only version of Foxtel Go might be the stuff of nightmares, but we can move on.
Yeah.
Clearly,
didn't mean that sort of adult.
Exactly. Look, from a Foxtel perspective, as a sort of indicator, and Ben has alluded to as well, we have the most recognisable channel brands on the platform, or on the planet rather.
Let me zoom into those there.
These are amazing brands. They have amazing content, very much targeted to a specific audience, and that is exactly what this application is a representation of. We researched this till we could research no more as to exactly what our customers wanted in relation to a kid's product. But by the same token, we also wanted to provide an opportunity for our well-known channel brands to provide a bit of the colour and a bit of the flavour of the application. So you'll start to see, this is all the content from Nick as an example. You see a wonderful Nickelodeon presentation. Nick Jr. as an example have their own little space. They're getting their own little personalities across. Cartoon Network as an example. They again have their own personality that they're trying to exude. CBeebies, another example. So you get this whole flavour that there's lots of different content in the different spaces. All of those channels are obviously clearly targeted at individual or age groups. So to that point, we're going to go straight into the settings section. Now this is obviously pin controlled on the way in. So moving into the parental settings requires you to have a parental pin. The parental pin is something that you have to set up at the point of download the application, first launch. It's the second question that you're asked.
Sure.
Third is actually the age filter. To give you an indication, who's watching this? Who is the person who will be using this application in your household? Now, to give you an indication, the Kids App number of devices and concurrent streams sits separately to your Foxtel Go allocation. So for those of you familiar, a Foxtel residential subscriber can have 5 registered devices and 2 concurrent streams. If they also have the Kids App, they get an additional 5 devices and an additional 2 streams.
So there'll be 2 streams of Foxtel Go and 2 streams of Foxtel Play, or you could...
2 streams of Foxtel Go and 2 of Kids.
Plus your main platform.
Plus your main
Plus the main Foxtel.
Clearly the intention here is that we are very familiar with the types of discussions and arguments that happens in a household of kids. That's my tablet. I want that
given
tablet.
Some leeway,
I need to be able to use it. We feel the pain as parents and also as users, and we have addressed that within this product. So there's no, I think the average Australian household has up to 8 connected devices in the home.
And does Foxtel Go have kids content anyway? If you wanted to bring
Foxtel Go has all of the same content.
So I mean, so if you had more kids, you could have them watching some stuff on Foxtel, and the younger ones could quite easily be...
Try to address that, yeah, absolutely. Excellent. This is very much a safe space for kids, and to that end, obviously you can select little kids, big kids, or all kids. Now, to give you an indication, this is a filter. Yep. It's not a reaggregation of the content where we're pushing the other kids elsewhere. We are removing the content that you as the parent have decided you don't want within the product. Yeah. We also tell you there's a filter on, because what we don't want you to do is remove all of the content and then think that there's no content on Foxtel, obviously. Yeah. This is the most content, and it's the best content within Australia. So we make a point of filtering out the content where appropriate. So for little kids, as an example, we are focused entirely on the preschool content. So you move back to the channels page, you see preschool channels, as an example. Move to the home page, you see, as it loads, preschool content. This is all the preschool content. So you can be safe in the knowledge that if you're providing this iPad to your 5-year-old, 4-year-old, 3-year-old, and you've decided they're only going to watch preschool content, you're only going to get preschool content.
Sure. No fear of the walking.
No fear of them looking. So I'm going to get back into settings, which is again pin controlled.
Yeah. And can you do Touch ID, or is it just?
We're not doing Touch ID currently, no.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you could always add it if you want.
Again, absolutely. Channel filters. We are aware, based on the feedback from our customers in research, some parents have some issues with some channels, and
so you can individually block them.
You can individually block
independent of the
channels.
PIN or age.
Yep.
Excellent.
You can move into a classification filter. Perhaps you only want your child to watch G-rated content, but you want them to have access to, say, Cartoon Network, or for Boomerang, or for Disney Channel, and you really want them to have, the big kids content, but kind of just on the G side. Sure. That's absolutely possible. You have the opportunity to change your PIN, which is more of a maintenance factor, managing the devices, so seeing which devices are being used, and then into your download settings. Now, within your download settings, these are the default settings that we will launch with, which is, yes, we allow downloads, but only over Wi-Fi, and we don't require you to enter a PIN in order to access downloads, or rather to instigate a download.
Sure.
If you want to change that, you want to knock downloads off, no problem. You want to require the kid to put a PIN in so they don't download every single possible title they can into the download setting. Sure. We can also block that. And then again, we've made a sweeping assumption: user first, mobile data not particularly where you want to be running your downloads. You probably want to do that over Wi-Fi.
But if you're in an emergency,
but if you're, there are emergency situations. We are aware of that, where a download is worthwhile. So I'm going to just knock the filter back off and go back to the home page. So, to give you an indication, that's going to start to play Blaze, which I've already mentioned. Amazing show. If you haven't watched it already, I thoroughly recommend it. We're going to go with Race Cars Superstar.
You got nice big buttons.
These nice big buttons, and what you see straight away is the player kicks in. Now, the player that you see underneath actually provides you with... I'm just going to mute that. With the player controls underneath. Now, the player controls underneath, as we bring up, will show you more episodes in the same season. So you've got the same episodes coming up, which the user gets to play. That goes up to the number of 4. Following that, you start to integrate into content recommendations. So this is the intention of, clearly we want the kids to expand the content that they're watching, and this is all preschool content based on the fact that this is a G-rated program. I'm from Nick Jr. We want to make sure that it's appropriate for the user to use. Now, your timer will auto-play into the next episode, the next episode, the next episode, the next episode, right up until the time has ended. So there's still that sort of locked-in experience for the child. And it plays, so that's your example of this is when it's actually streamed. Now, this is where it gets really interesting, I think, for us. This is the download setting that you see within here. You can see that this is actually already successfully downloaded. And due to the perils of demonstrations, I'm going to knock the Wi-Fi off, rock into airplane mode, and fingers crossed. So we go to downloads. This is the experience you would see if you launch the application. You've got no internet. You may want to have internet, you may not. Alternatively, you can go to downloads. Here's one I prepared earlier. You can try Blaze in the monster machines. You can clearly see that we're on flight mode. You can clearly see there is no Wi-Fi within this setting, and then we start to play the content back.
There we go.
Clearly, you can see the value add to subscribers of providing them with an experience that allows them to, for the vast, frequent holiday road trip that I believe that a significant proportion of Australians will be taking part on through December and January. This is an absolute killer feature for that purpose.
Well, there must also be a killer of the "Are we there yet?" question.
Absolutely. I can safely say that my traditional purchasing of at least one movie from iTunes in December so that I can manage the car trip to my mother-in-law's house is less likely to occur this year on the basis that actually I have a vast selection of content that I can pick from, and they're all mine. I pay for them in my subscription, so I can download them and I can have unlimited viewing within my house. And my 5-year-old is absolutely comfortable with navigating through this application and playing the content, selecting his own content, selecting the downloads, and playing that content back. So I was saying to my colleagues this week, we've been demonstrating this to our call centres in Melbourne and in Robina, and Daddy took the iPad. I was not a popular man this weekend upon my return. And I think it took me several episodes of Ninjago before my 5-year-old would talk to me again. Right. So there are benefits. If only that wasn't 5 a.m. Yeah. So yeah, that's our application, Alex. We're very proud of it. I'm very passionate. This is one of the greatest applications we've delivered for Foxtel. It's a clearly identified target market, business speak, but we have put the customer first. We have researched what that customer wants. We have listened extensively to the feature set that customer values. And we are delivering a product with the best content, the best channel brands, with offline viewing, with great parental controls. That will be a killer application for parents and children in the holiday season and beyond. So we're very proud of it.
And does the service come free for existing subscribers?
It's tied to the kids tier. Yeah. So if you're a kids tier subscriber, this is a value add to your subscription package.
And then if people want to buy it separately?
So you can. So the new Foxtel Play pricing and packaging, which launches on 1 December, the kids pack's available for $10 a month.
As an add-on tier to the...
No, it's
just independent.
It's independent.
For
with
Foxtel Play.
Yeah. With Foxtel Play. So you can just buy the kids tier for $10 a month, and then the app comes with obviously with the tier you get the linear channels and the Foxtel Play experience, but you also get the app with that as well. And
I mean, theoretically, if the kids did download everything, it'd just be limited to the amount of space you have on your iPad and the amount of content.
Absolutely. From a deletion perspective, the user can choose to delete. They can delete all. They can delete individual titles, or we will automatically delete content after a 31-day period. Alternatively, they can use the system information to remove app data quite easily. No problem there. Yeah, you are limited by the space you've got on your device.
Yeah. Now, I'm just a little bit curious because I know that you keep an eye on these things, Alex, and the consensus around here seems to be that for a subscription service, the download is an Australian first.
Okay, yeah.
Do you want to weigh in?
I can't remember if any of the other services.
Sorry? iTunes notwithstanding. Because it's a subscription. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, look, I'm not aware of the other guys allowing. I'm sure there's been talk about it, but talk about it and actually it happening is two different things.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess the question people will ask is, well, is that coming to Foxtel Go anytime soon? And you probably don't want to talk about that till next year or whenever you're ready.
We don't want to talk about that.
But again, this is a glimpse into the future.
Look, let's be clear. From the delivery of offline viewing is very much a specific feature for the Australian market. Like there's a demand for it in locations where bandwidth isn't that great, or the frequent long journeys, planes, holiday houses potentially. There's a lot of different cases in which that it makes sense.
I think with kids, it makes a special sense to start with kids. Because like you say, it could come to Go, it could come to whatever. But I think this is a natural starting point.
Yeah.
Because,
makes
like
sense,
Richard said, cars, planes, anywhere where kids are going to be unhappy. This is really
sure. You see them in restaurants,
mobile data has increased exponentially, even within the sort of last.
You can get a lot more now than you could.
You can get a lot more now than you could, but by the same token, I don't know any parent who would look at that and think that's going to be enough for my child to continue to watch video non-stop for the entire duration of a trip to the Gold Coast, or the entire plane ride outside of anywhere outside of Australia, or those are the scenarios that we're really interested in. the camping trips and the caravan parks and you know, those are the things that are really valuable to parents.
And on things like planes where you have plane-based Wi-Fi, I mean, an opportunistic VPN company looking for free publicity suggested that you know, identity theft and other cyber crimes on planes are starting to become more prevalent because there's no you know, WPA2 password, and if your tablet or computer or whatever is off, then no chance of that happening. Is it ever coming to PCs and Macs, or is it just tablets?
Look, the research that we've conducted doesn't indicate that PC and Macs are particularly valued for the customer for this specific use.
I mean, tablets are so easy.
You know, it's very much a mobile product.
Sure. Well, maybe when Play on PC or whatever gets similar features, we might see.
Well, potentially, there's never say
that's all.
Never say never. If again, we're a research-driven, customer-first company.
And now that you're launching this app shortly, I mean, you know, you've been listening to all this customer feedback,
Absolutely.
so you'll be getting tons more.
Absolutely.
And it'll no doubt be evolving
Absolutely.
further and further.
Yeah. Volume of requests and responses from our customers will drive our next steps. Absolutely.
Well, I would also suggest the same things. Offer a switch where, you know, if you wanted to keep playing when you turn this screen off for whatever reason, and then it automatically flicks down to the audio only mode to save on bandwidth.
Mm-hmm.
That, you know, I don't think many people will use that, but there might be times, and it'd just be a nice option to have. I'm sure it'd be effortless to put it in. And if you could do that for
nothing is effortless. Alex.
No, but I mean, you know,
doing nothing is effortless. Doing something is never effortless.
Well, I know exactly what you mean, but just from the point of view of compared to developing the app in the first place, putting a mode in to only do an audio profile and would be
sure,
for some people.
And again, if the weight of opinion is there for us and customers truly value that as a proposition, then I'm sure we'd absolutely have to look at that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Sweet. Well, that is really impressive. I'm very pleased to see it, and look forward to its evolution and the continued evolution of the apps for the Foxtel space.
Do you have Foxtel at the moment?
No.
Or have I set you up with a Foxtel Play account?
You have, but it ran out when The Walking Dead ran out.
Oh, did it? Okay.
Yeah, well,
look,
it was for that time.
let me set you up with another one.
Yeah.
And
I'd love to try the app.
As soon as the beta's in a nice stable place, which should be in a couple of somethings.
Soon, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll send you a user ID, password, and a link to the beta.
Sure. Look forward to trying and playing with it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Okay.
Alex.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Richard.
You're welcome.